Hey, welcome back to the Healing Fungal and Parasite Infections video mini course with me, Sean Croxton of UndergroundWellness.com, as well as Paul Chek of the Chek Institute. My man is dropping nothing but truth bombs in these videos. Seriously. Today, we're going to talk about parasite infections and the most common causes of them. What are they?
Well, there's three very common causes of a parasite infection. They happen to be the same cause as a fungal infection. In fact, funguses are parasites. So we distinguish in the program a fungus from a parasite, but a parasite's any opportunistic organism. So funguses have sort of different things that you need to do, but parasites and funguses really fall into the same problem. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you got a fungal infection, you technically have a parasite problem. But what we call parasites, as I mentioned in the introduction, are four classes of creatures that are different than funguses, but the actual effect is that they're all drawing resources from your body at your expense.
Thus the name parasites.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
So the key point that I'm making here is that the three common causes of a parasite infection also happen to be common causes of fungal infections. So we're getting two birds with one stone. The number one cause of all health problems, including fungal infections and parasite infections, is stress. Too much stress for the individual to handle. So, for example, if you're spending more money than you can make, you're going to keep yourself constantly under stress. I saw research not too long ago that said 98% of the U.S. population was 2 paychecks from bankruptcy.
Wow, seriously?
Absolutely. So we're dealing with a population that has been convinced to live in a way that is stressful. Predatory lending and all these other, things that we don't want to get into here. But I think we're all aware that right now the world is a relatively stressful place to live in for the other reasons I'm about to discuss. But anytime that you yourself feel my life is stressful, I'm rushing all the time. I can't take time to eat. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to spend with my lover or my kids. Whenever you're saying that to yourself, you also might as well simultaneously say, parasites, fungus, come eat me because I'm not taking time to love and nourish myself enough to be a healthy human being. And that's what they're there. Their job is to dismantle those that are not contributing to the overarching plan of nature's self-regenerating creative principle. So once your vitality drops down, the number one cause of which is stress in general, regardless of what your excuse is, oh, but I've got all these kids, they got to go to college. I mean, people tell themselves all sorts of stories. Well, I tell them, you won't get to do much more when you got a disease. You're either going to pay attention and get yourself healthy because your dream is to see your kids off to college, or you're going to keep convincing yourself you got to stress the hell out of yourself so you can get your kids to college. So we human beings play a lot of little games with ourselves that set us up for trouble because the reality we think we're living in is one that we think is above nature. But Mother Nature's laws work in downtown New York, downtown San Diego, anywhere, because we're all part of that system. We're all made of water. We all have to breathe. We all have to eat well. We all have to move. So nobody escapes that no matter where you're at.
Nobody's exempt.
No one's exempt from Mother Nature's laws.
You were on my radio show recently. You talked about fear, that we're constantly living in fear. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Well, fear is the number one cause of stress. So fear that if I don't have X number of dollars in the bank, I'm not going to make it through a crisis. So you're living for, you're acting now as though there's a threat coming, but you're actually importing the threat into the moment. Fear, I like Zig Ziglar's definition, false evidence appearing real. And when you educate yourself as to what it takes to have a healthy body, I got news for you. You lose a lot of fear. I can go anywhere in the world. Listen, I've lived on airplanes, as we were talking earlier, and done hundreds and hundreds of lectures all over, as many as 100 presentations a year. I've done thousands. I've made it around the globe every year for over 20 years lecturing, working, seeing clients, building the entire Chek Institute out of airplanes in stressful situations. But because I know how to live this, I've not missed a single day of work in what'll be 30 years, January the 1st, to illness. Never. In 30 years.
That's impressive.
That's the proof And any Chek practitioner that practices this is also relatively a bulletproof person. So what I'm saying is a lot of the fear that we have goes away when we learn how to manage ourselves. And another thing is a lot of our fear is biochemically mediated. If your blood sugar is all over the map, your body thinks you're going to die. So the biology sends fear messages to your psychology, but they're often misinterpreted. The fear of you're dying because you're eating wrong is, oh, I'm anxious and I'm afraid that I'm not going to make it to work on time, or my husband doesn't love me, or whatever. These things get mixed messages because we've gotten so out of touch with our biological intelligence that we don't even know the message for hunger. People skip meals all the time. They work at computers and go 6-7 hours without eating because they're not listening to their stomach. People sit in chairs for hours and hours and hours and complain to me as a therapist, oh, it kills my back. How long did you sit in that chair before your back started? Oh, it hurts within 30 minutes. How often do you get up? Well, sometimes not for hours. Good. You're not even listening to your own spine telling you to get up out of the chair. So the key thing is, once you actually learn to have a relationship with your body and you honor your body as your place of worship, your chance to be here. I mean, people take better care of their cars and their houses than they do their bodies. If someone's house gets a termite infection, they spend the money right away. They'll do whatever they got to do. Tent that house, kill those little buggers,
I've seen
clean
this
it
a lot.
up, right?
Yep.
But then they walk around poisoning themselves and bringing parasites into the house anyhow.
It's crazy. It's crazy how that works.
So number one is stress, and that's what that was about. Learn to manage your stress. Number two is food quality again. Most people are eating commercially raised animals that are raised standing and living in their own feces. In the DVDs, I show some pretty good pictures of stuff that most people aren't used to seeing, right? When you got 25,000 birds in one barn who have had their beaks cut off so they don't peck each other, and they are in cages so small they can't open their wings, and the birds above are shitting on the birds below. Imagine being raised in that environment, no exercise, no fresh air, crappy food, and all you're doing is just being fed steroids and drugs so you grow rapidly. You can't. This we call food.
Yeah, I think it's your quote. You can't get health from a sick animal.
No, you can't get health from a sick animal.
Impossible.
So the point is, these animals are loaded with parasites. They're loaded with them. Parasites love sick animals. And like I show in the program, I consulted one of the top guys in the world on this, Arden Anderson, who wrote the book Science and Agriculture, who's a medical doctor with a PhD in soil science. And he told me, Paul, whenever animals have parasite infections, the first thing we got to do is improve the quality of the food in almost every case. So what am I saying? If the animal's eating bad food, it gets parasites. If you're eating sick animals, you get parasites. If the veterinarians and the doctors have to increase the quality of the food to stop the animals from getting parasites, it seems logical we should probably look at the same thing, because I got news for you. Your body is an animal's body. I mean, let's face it. I mean, I know a lot of you want to think that you're angels and descendants of the holy thou or whatever it is, but the reality of it is that's all true, but that descends rides around in an animal body, and you have to follow the laws of an animal body or you get sick. So food quality, get rid of commercial meats. If you cannot afford to eat good food, I say sell your car and get a moped, walk, hitchhike. You can have the fanciest car in town and be the sickest person in town, and it won't matter what your car looks like when you're laying in hospitals and your organs are being eaten and no doctor knows what's wrong with you, which happens every day.
You have to make it a priority.
You do.
Yes.
So step number one when it comes to flesh foods is go for wild-caught fish, not farm fish unless you really have no choice or you know that it's farmed ethically. Go for organic and or locally farmed food. Organic doesn't mean much anymore because they've worked so hard to destroy the meaning of the certification. But if you go speak to your local farm, your local meat suppliers, organic butchers, farmers associations, they'll tell you where to find. Go to a farmer's market. You can find great food out there that isn't certified organic but should be, could be, right? So once you get past this meat problem and start eating healthier meats, and the other thing is people say, well, I can't afford to eat organic meat. Well, most people eat too much meat anyhow. If they follow the techniques I share in my Eat, Move, and Be Healthy book and some of my other resources for fine-tuning your diet, and even in this program I put information in there, you'll find that most people are, in my estimation, are eating anywhere between 30 and 60% more meat than is ideal for their bodily needs. They're doing it out of habit. And that loads the system up real heavily. The other thing is, whenever you're eating organic meat, research shows organic food typically produces satiation about 30% sooner. So animals and human studies show that you only need you eat about 30% less on an organic diet. So even though it costs more, you actually consume less.
Still save money.
You still save money.
Yeah.
So the key point here is, you can only be as healthy as the food you're eating. And if you're eating unhealthy animal or fish foods, you're increasing the risk of a parasite infection dramatically.
You talked about the environment in which the animals live in. What about the environment we live in?
That's my next one. So right on cue, if you're not aware of the effect of your environment on your immune system and your detoxification systems, you're likely to be making many, many very key mistakes. Some of the common mistakes people make is using commercial underarm deodorants, commercial soaps, antibacterial soaps, washing their hands all the time. Parasite phobia and germ phobia is actually extremely stressful for the body. Every time you wipe out your natural germ barrier, you wipe out a very important protective layer, because the friendly organisms on your skin and on your body surface actually are protecting you from less friendly ones. So if you keep on over sanitizing, you actually can set yourself up for what's sometimes referred to as a barrier disorder, where you're permeable by parasites and other organisms. So commercial soaps, commercial hair products, commercial body care products, commercial makeups are also extremely stressful for people that use them. And I've had lots of people have to get those out of their life. All that should be replaced with healthy, organic, natural products. All those things I just mentioned, such as aerosol centers, underarm deodorants, commercial cleaning products, bug sprays. If you go through the average person's house and look what's actually making it into their body by using it in the environment, it's enough to practically wipe your liver out, stress the hell out of your kidneys. It's really serious body burden. Most of us aren't even aware of what these chemicals do. We're not reading labels. We're just trusting that the FDA or the government's policing that stuff. But this is serious stuff. The other thing, parasites love dirty areas. The most dirty room in a house is the kitchen on average. So if you want to protect yourself from parasites or heal from them, you've got to do a good job of cleaning surfaces. You can use all sorts of natural soaps out there. There's stuff made out of eucalyptus. There's many, many really high quality natural soaps that will clean almost anything. You keep the surfaces clean. You got to have high quality water. If you're not drinking high quality water, parasites move through water just like electricity moves through wires. So if you're not drinking high quality water, you're weakening your body and you're setting yourself up for parasite infections. So you got to clean the bathroom out. You got to clean the kitchen out. You got to clean all the 4 white devils out of the cupboards. You got to eat right for your individual dietary needs. You've got to choose high quality food. You got to manage your stresses and live what is my dream? What's out of balance? What choices do I need to make so that I can live this dream more effectively? And the choices we have to make are governed by the values that are represented by quiet, movement, diet, and happiness. First, you have to identify what happiness is before you can establish values. So, I would have to, if you were my patient and you had a fungal or a parasite infection, I would ask you, Sean, what is it that you really love to do? What do you live for? Once I know what you live for, now I can show you how to manage those 4 doctors in a way that's going to not only heal your fungal and parasite infection, but it's going to give you the tools you need to live that dream fully, so you don't end up in a nightmare chasing your dream because you don't have the knowledge all of us need to have about these 4 doctors. So in closing, your dream creates your values. Your values show you when to say yes and when to say no in relationships with persons, places, and things. And Dr. Happiness is the archer. That's why there's an arrow there and a bow. And Dr. Happiness should only point his arrow at what he really wants to eat because it's health-giving and immune supportive. But if you don't have values, you don't even point your arrow, you just stick anything in your mouth. So this means choose your food with discretion.
And I love, you talk about love. What
Yeah.
I love doing is exactly what we're doing.
And I love doing it too.
Helping people, yeah.
But I have to be honest and authentic, and that's why both of us invest time to be real. Just like it says, just eat real food. Well, that means just live real, just love real, sleep real, drink real, and be real. And when you're in touch with who you really are, then you're at peace with living in a way that makes you less susceptible to diseases and spending money on things you don't really want in your life.
That's Paul Chek, keeping it real. Guys, gotta check out Healing Fungal and Parasite Infections DVD. Go to the link right there. We'll be back with one more video. See you next time.